All right. Hello, everyone. Hey, Jen. Thanks for being here. Hey, Trevor. Hey, Autistic Tech. Hey, Sunflower. Hi, Tadasatva. Okay, so I wanted to share a bit about the press conference that President Trump just put on regarding Tylenol and autism. So this live stream will be kind of just my I'm going to restate some of the things that I took away from this press conference. After I share kind of a summary of what I took away from that, I will share kind of some tips for how we can process this together as an autistic community. Um, so yeah, I just ask for your patience, and I will suggest that everyone do their own research. The experience that you will the perspective that you'll get from me here today. I am a 36-year-old autistic mom of two autistic kids, and I received my autism diagnosis at 31, and it completely changed my life for the better. It finally gave me words to understand my experiences. That's why I started my YouTube channel here, because having words to describe the challenges that I've had my whole life, um, it helped reduce a lot of shame. It helped me have a lot more compassion for myself, and it helped me structure my life in a way that I actually feel quite successful and capable and fulfilled. And I have a beautiful family that I'm very proud of. Okay. All right. So, what I would like to do first is I would like to point out a few things that I appreciate. I appreciate that there's being money spent on studying autism. Um, I appreciate that in this press conference, they interviewed two mothers with two different perspectives, or two different experiences regarding raising autistic children. So, one of them seems like has a child who would be considered level three, which is a child with um, significant support needs, and then the other mother appeared to have a child that was probably level one, so lower support needs. And I really appreciated that perspective. Um, I also just appreciate how difficult it is to talk about controversial subjects out loud in front of large audiences. And I've said this before in other videos that I've made. When RFK Jr. first started talking about this autism study, I do just want to recognize that I think it takes a tremendous amount of strength for him to speak publicly, given the quality of his voice. And I'm sure he's received a lot of very harmful comments about that. Um, I would like to believe that the heart of this is providing better support to children who need it. And I'm going to choose to believe that that is at least partially why these conversations are happening. Um, okay. So, again, do your own research. I literally just watched this. I was taking some notes. As an autistic person, it does take me a while to kind of pull my complex web of thoughts together. So, this is my initial take, and I ask for your patience and your grace. I am a human just like everyone else. All right. So, in the conference, President Trump he is suggesting that there is a correlation between Tylenol causing autism. There is also a recommendation for a drug called, I want to make sure I have it. Let's see, where did I write it down? Well, that was something else that I appreciated. President Trump said that Secretary Kennedy wanted to be very precise with his words, and I really appreciated that. President Trump said that well, I don't want to misquote him. He said that that wasn't one of his priorities, but Secretary Kennedy wanted to be very precise with his words, and I appreciate that. Um, okay, so the drug that's being suggested for um, autistic treatment, I'm not sure, I can't remember the word that they used, is leucovorin as a potential treatment for children with cerebral folate deficiency who have autistic symptoms. Um, So, one thing that I wrote down here, my ADHD my ADHD took notes on 9 different sticky notes. So that's going to be fun to put together on a live stream. Um, one thing that Dr. Oz said during this discussion of leucovorin, is that, and again, this was during the section when they were talking about this. He said this is an aggressive approach demanded by the president. I was taking notes as I watched. Fact check me on that, but that's what I wrote down. Dr. Oz said this is an aggressive approach demanded by the president. That language is concerning to me. Um, and it goes into kind of my main concern with these conversations is there feels like an urgency to cure something awful. So I think there's a lot of equating autism with other co-occurring conditions that's happening. Um, there's a lot of co-occurring conditions with some autistic people that can cause a great deal of challenges. Um, I believe the most recent numbers show that like 30 to 40% of autistic people may also have intellectual disability, but that is separate from autism. So, President Trump, one of the things he said at the beginning was this is a horrible, horrible crisis. And then he talked about the numbers, how they have gone from, 1 in 10,000 people having autism to 1 in 10 or 1 in 13 or 1 in 21. I think those were the numbers that he was throwing. No, 1 in, he said 1 in 10, 1 in 21, 1 in 30. He was throwing out different numbers there. Okay. And so one of the questions at the end of the conference was, well, do you think that these numbers are autism is more prevalent now because of better diagnosis, better access to resources and care? And Secretary Kennedy's response was no, because this is not showing up in 70-year-olds. This is only showing up in children. And that, again, don't quote me on that. You please watch the whole thing in context. But as a generalization, Secretary Kennedy said, no, these numbers are not due to better diagnostic criteria or better access to resources because we're not seeing these numbers in the 70-year-old demographic. And this is where, if you'll remember when I was talking about RFK Jr. last time, I got emotional because Secretary Kennedy, these 70-year-olds are in my connection groups. Um, and they're looking for help and they're looking for support. And they are out there. And there's a lot of them. And I'm actually, honestly, that's been one of the biggest surprises to me running my channel is how many 60 and 70 and 80 and even 90-year-olds are on this channel looking for help and looking for support. So do you know what? I think it is a beautiful thing that these numbers are so high. Um, I think that it has meant freedom for a lot of people. I think it has meant validation and understanding for a lot of people that I get to work with on a weekly basis. It's so important, and autistic people are so beautiful. And so, again, I appreciate that there's funding being put into autism research because I think it is widely misunderstood. But I feel like the way that it's being talked about publicly on a national stage is harmful because it's, again, right out the gate. Some of the words the president used was, "This is a horrible, horrible crisis." Um, there's another phrase. The number is unacceptable. I can't remember who said that, but regarding the rate of autism, this number is unacceptable. And also, President Trump said that it is this level of autism is not sustainable for a country, which is concerning to me. Um, there were other, and I don't have direct quotes for this. At one point, he said that it was going to be very, very expensive to basically deal with or treat or manage all of this. And then at the end, he started saying that money wasn't an issue, that there was plenty of money. Um, so confusing things. One thing brought up in the conference was, excuse me, folate deficiency, which I actually think is an important thing to bring into the conversation. So, um, and that's one thing that I mentioned. The drug leucovorin is actually supposed to help with is folate deficiency. I do think that folate deficiency in autistic individuals is definitely worth studying. I think some other terms and experiences to throw into the mix that are worth studying along with that would be the MTHFR genetic mutations and variations. Um, Also, things like MCAS, mast cell activation syndrome. Um, I also think Ehlers-Danlos is really important for studying because it has to do with our connective tissue and collagen. All of these things I think are interrelated, and understanding these things as a whole, I think will help us better support autistic people. Again, I don't feel I know that there are so many different experiences of autism, but I think that when we talk about it as a crisis, when we talk about it as you know, in the sense that it's a tragedy, I think that it's putting us in a very vulnerable place where we are considered less than something to be cured. Why haven't we found a cure yet? Why can't we figure out what's wrong with these individuals? Why can't we figure out why they're bringing our country down and costing us so much money? These are very hard things to hear. Um, yes. So, what I would like there's a couple of things I would like to share. I do feel like the people in leadership are conflating autism a lot with intellectual disability and other co-occurring conditions that aren't being well understood um, conceptually. I think there's a large misunderstanding of what actually like just autism alone is. Yes, it can come with incredible speech difficulties, challenges. It can come with harmful stemming behavior, self harm. Um, but I think there's a great misunderstanding in people talking about this of what autism actually is. Um, okay, so let's talk about what's being claimed right now. So the people in leadership are pointing to studies that suggest prenatal acetaminophen exposure may increase the risk of neurodevelopmental disorders like autism and ADHD. There's a recent Mount Sinai study that was used to evaluate the literature on acetaminophen during pregnancy. Um, some studies have shown that there tends to be an increased risk of autism and ADHD. There may Exposure in utero may increase the risk. The claim is there are multiple studies when many with excuse me, my heart is like I usually my heart is struggling with this one today. Many with methodological limitations. Let me try this again. The claim is that there are multiple studies, many with methodological limitations, but some do find an association. So far, this is correlation and not causation. So there are relatively stronger studies out there that don't find a link or find that once better controls are applied to the study, that the association drops out. So there was a large Swedish population-based cohort, about 2.48 million children. It looked at acetaminophen use during pregnancy and followed them for autism, ADHD, and intellectual disability. Without sibling controls, there were marginally increased risks, but in sibling controlled analyses, the association disappears. Systematic reviews find that some studies show an association, but many have limitations, confounding variables. Why was acetaminophen used in the first place? Was there an underlying infection, genetic predisposition? Um, so just taking acetaminophen, that doesn't there's so many more questions. Why was it taken in the first place? Um, there's so much more to know there. Some studies highlight no link or very small link and point out alternative explanations. Parents with neurodevelopmental differences are more likely could be more likely to use acetaminophen. That was one thing I was going to say that was particularly upsetting for me, is that President Trump said that there are no downsides. Fact check me on that. My heart is literally skipping beats right now. Um, President Trump said there are literally, he didn't say literally, he said there are no downsides to not taking Tylenol, except maybe the mothers have to tough it out. And there is something about hearing a man say that a woman giving birth needs to tough it out, especially an autistic woman. And I can speak on this as an autistic woman who has had two beautiful children. We experience that process differently. And the sensory overwhelm as an autistic person of giving birth is something that you can only understand if you are an autistic woman, and no one else should be allowed to speak on that. Um, Here are some things that I would like to share about. Well, let me finish this on correlation and causation. The studies that they're citing typically do not establish a causation. They can't definitively say that acetaminophen causes autism in these doses under these conditions. They cannot definitively say that. Most are observational, retrospective, or prospective cohorts. They're not randomized controlled trials, or RCTs. RCTs are basically they're ethically impossible to conduct because you can't randomly assign a pregnant woman to take acetaminophen or not take acetaminophen. Um, Again, confounding is a big problem here. So illnesses that require acetaminophen, fever, infections, co-medications, maternal health, genetic risks, environmental exposures, all of these things go into play with whether or not a woman is taking acetaminophen while she's pregnant. Also, things that matter: dose, timing, duration, maternal metabolism. These are often not considered or poorly controlled. Um, Okay, so there is mixed evidence. There is enough observational data to suggest a possible association between prenatal acetaminophen use and autism or ADHD risk, but it's far from conclusive. Stronger designs tend to reduce or eliminate the association. So essentially, what's happening is they're overstating what the science currently supports, unless there's some new, very strong, unpublished study they're relying on that shifts the balance. Okay. Um, Things that I think are important to talk about. Why doctors use acetaminophen in pregnancy. Untreated high fever during pregnancy itself is linked with birth defects and neurodevelopmental issues. Pain control. Moderate to severe pain can affect maternal stress, sleep, blood pressure, and overall pregnancy health. Um, Acetaminophen has been and continues to be considered a safer option compared to NSAIDs like ibuprofen or opioids. Acetaminophen has historically been considered the safest first line choice during pregnancy. The risk of not taking acetaminophen when pregnant, uncontrolled fever could increase the risk of neural tube defects, miscarriage, or preterm labor. Untreated infections, often accompanied by fever, risk both the mother and the fetus. And with limited pain management options, there can be suffering, stress hormone spikes, and higher blood pressure, all things that risk the mother's health and the child's health. Okay, what the research is actually saying, some observational studies suggest an association between frequent or prolonged prenatal. Some studies suggest an association between frequent or prolonged prenatal acetaminophen use and autism or ADHD risk. Sibling controlled or and higher quality studies often find the association weakens or completely disappears once the confounders are addressed. No study recommends a complete ban, at least none that I have seen fact check me in the comments. No study recommends a complete ban. The consensus is to use when medically necessary, the lowest effective dose and the shortest duration. Okay, so that aside, now is when I would like to just share a bit, add a bit to this conversation. So, reminder that just because someone in a position of leadership says something does not mean it's true. And that goes for me as well. Just because I have a YouTube channel does not mean that you need to listen to what I'm saying. If it resonates with you, it means something to you, great. But in general, you should take everything that you learn with a grain of salt and do your own research. Pay attention to what feels right to you. Pay attention to what lines up with your own experiences, your own research, and pay attention when something feels off. The other thing is you can choose to disengage, and you don't have to feel guilty about that. You can choose to disengage with this conversation. You can choose to disengage with these headlines. You can choose to focus on other things in your life. There's so many other things happening to focus on. There's so many beautiful communities, especially like this one here at Mom on the Spectrum. I'm so proud of us. There are so many conversations that are happening that are actually in support of like things we're learning that actually do support autistic people. And it turns out that actually, for now and always, the best way to support an autistic person is to treat them like a human that's not broken. um, to treat them with curiosity, curiosity in the sense of like to come from a place of wanting connection and to be curious about our experiences, not in a way that we're like under a microscope being studied, but how how does autism affect your life? What does that mean for you? What does that look like for you? What extra challenges do you have? What strengths do you feel like it brings into your life? Autism is a neurodevelopmental difference. And I just have to say, how do I share this? I haven't asked for consent to share this. Someone in my life, younger than me, said, "Hey, if this is something they're studying so much, why are they all having trouble saying neurodevelopmental? Why are they having trouble pronouncing that word?" Um, I thought that was a good point. Um, it doesn't make you a bad person. It doesn't mean you're ignorant if you need to disengage with this type of news. It just doesn't. I don't think that we were designed to consume this much information. I don't think that we were designed to be this connected to everything all the time, and I don't really think that our nervous systems can handle it. And then you talk about autistic people's nervous systems who tend to be more hypervigilant. We tend to be more, on guard, and we tend to notice a lot more things than other people do. Staying up to date and on alert and hypervigilant, it's extremely taxing. It can lead to burnout. It can lead to more health issues. So pay attention to yourself when you need to disengage and know that that's okay. You can live your life without watching these press conferences. You can live your life without reading about them. Um, there's so many other things to focus on. Let me see. Hang on. I think it's hard for me to follow the comments right now. Okay, Orion and Jen are here. Jen, I'm gonna make you. I'm gonna add you as a moderator. I didn't ask you about that, but Jen and Orion, I'm gonna add y'all as a moderator. No pressure at all, but like just help me kind of keep an eye on things. If you don't mind, you can just put people in timeout. But I think my community here is so beautiful. Oh, Whitney's here. Oh, Whitney. Okay, thank you, Whitney. Oh my gosh. Okay, can I just take a second to say how much I love you guys? Like the autistic community is so beautiful. And I just really wish that the conversations about us looked a lot different. Y'all are my favorite people. Okay. So, the other thing is that goes along with this is like what you focus on, you create more of. Oh, this time in my day, the sun is always coming in at a weird angle, and you'd think being a YouTuber, I would have figured out how to set up my recording area that this is not an issue, but that's not where we're at. Okay, so what you focus on, you create more of. And especially as an autistic person, our energy is It's valuable, and we have to be careful with what we give that energy to. Um, so what you focus on, you create more of. And guess what, guys? There are so many conversations happening about autism that are beautiful and lovely and supportive and kind. Um, and we can focus more on that. We can focus more on that. We can let go of other conversations. Like, if you need to be mad about it, be mad about it. If you need to be frustrated. One of the things that I wanted to put on here that is so empowering, like, you'll have no idea. One thing that is so empowering is learning how to emotionally regulate yourself. And I'm telling you, if the people in power knew how to emotionally regulate themselves, the world would look very different. So be mad, be angry, channel that into something creative, channel it into something helpful. Um, don't spew that anger and frustration on other people. Um, it's so empowering. So, how do we emotionally regulate? So, some signs that I notice for myself when I am dysregulated, my skin starts to feel like I need to crawl out of it. My chest feels tight. Typically, my throat feels really tight. I start having trouble making decisions, and sometimes I'll lose my words and I'll just feel unable to speak. So when I feel dysregulated like that, that's an opportunity for me to step back and, okay, what am I feeling right now? And a lot of times, autistic people, we might not be able to say sad, mad, happy, like registering emotions is difficult, but I can say, oh, my throat feels tight. Oh, my fists are clenched. Oh, I'm holding tension in my lower back. And then I know this sounds so simplistic, but you breathe into those areas and you just let it go. Um, you can name it. You can say, "Yeah, I'm frustrated about that. I'm angry about that. You know, give that emotion time and space. It's important. I know, like, okay, I'm feeling emotions is not weakness. That's actually incredible wisdom. And our bodies are like one of the greatest sources of wisdom that we have in this life. And a lot of times, autistic people are taught to downplay those responses because we're overthinking or we're too sensitive or we're too much, we're asking for too much, we're, overreacting. But our body's intuitive responses, our body's emotions are protecting us, keeping us safe. They're the guiding light to help us know what to give our attention to and how to navigate life. So spend time, even if it's just a little check in. A lot of times people are looking for their fix of, how can I feel better now? How can I alleviate this pain or frustration now? And maybe you're not going to want to hear it, but like, when was the last time that you were just still and took a breath? And my community knows that we do this a lot, but we've got some people here with us, and like, let's invite them into this. So we're just going to take. Oh, the Aspie world is here too. This is such a great group of people. I love y'all so much. Okay, so this is what we're gonna do. Um, Thank you, Dave. Oh, there's so many more things to talk about in the comments. And my cat is here at my feet, so he's here with us too. Okay. So thank you, Mary. I appreciate that. Feet flat on the floor if you're interested. The most important thing is that you're comfortable in your body, as comfortable as possible. I know that's yeah, okay. And then it helps me if I elongate my spine. And you can kind of envision the top of like the crown of your head is being lifted up towards the ceiling. And then we're just gonna do 3 inhales and 3 exhales, okay? So inhale deeply through your nose, and then on the exhale, you're gonna just let your body sink into the ground beneath you. We're gonna do that 3 times. And you can think it's totally ridiculous, that's fine, but you can also try it and nobody will know, and then you can choose for yourself whether or not it's ridiculous, okay? So, elongate your spine gently, and then deep inhale through your nose. And then deep exhale all the way out through your mouth. Deep inhale through your nose. Exhale through your mouth all the way out. And then this time, if you want to inhale and imagine that air traveling to any tension in your body, inhale. And then on the exhale, release all that tension. And then just take a second to notice how you feel after doing that. That took us maybe 30 seconds. Now imagine if just every hour you had a little alarm on your phone while you're working, just to pause and take 3 deep breaths, to just like listen to yourself just for a second. Even moments like, oh, yeah, it was like when my boss said that to me, that was really frustrating. Give yourself a moment to feel that. Or, hey, um, you know, my neighbor responded really well to me taking care of their cat yesterday, and that felt really good. Like, take time to feel those good feelings too, you know? Those little things are so empowering, and that's kinda where I wanna, um that's kinda what I wanna go to next as we wrap this up. Um, I love this community. So there's 2 other things. Okay, there's 2 other things. Okay, so the first thing is moms who have taken acetaminophen or Tylenol. I'm talking to you, and I want you to take one of those big, deep breaths, and I want you to just, I think even physically, just push the shame off of you, okay? If you're internalizing any of that, push it off of you. These studies that they are citing, none of them are definitive. Like, they are correlation, not causation, and there's still so much to study and learn. Like, you did not harm your child. You did not harm your child by taking Tylenol. Okay, these cases, I don't have a lot more to say on that right now. I just want to say, moms, take a deep breath and let that go. That's not on you. That's not on you. Moms have enough stuff that is put on us. Not this. Not this. Okay? Not this. Shake it off. Take a deep breath. We're not going to own this one, okay? No. Okay. And then the thing that I wanted to tie up with, we did talk about our emotional regulation here. Don't downplay how powerful that is. It is much scarier. Um, it's much scarier to feel like you can't do anything than to actually do something. Okay, so there's this fear, as an American, not only as an American, as a Texan, I do love my Texas. There's a lot of different ways to be a Texan. It can feel completely powerless with the current state of the world. But that is what they want you to feel. And I'm not okay. That let me rephrase that, cuz I don't want that to be taken out of context. That is how headlines want you to feel. That's how big corporations are wanting us to feel right now, that we're powerless. Guess what? The opposite of that is true. It's a lot scarier to believe that we're powerless than to actually take a step towards doing something. Both of those things can be scary. But here's the thing, true lasting change, I believe, happens slowly, deliberately, intentionally. It's not these fast, sign this, sign this, sign this, change. Yes, everything's different now. A lot of times there's a big rebound on those types of changes. True lasting change takes consistency, intention, practice, and it takes community. I sincerely believe that as we move into the future, probably the number one thing is going to become community. When everything's automated, when you don't know who to believe, when you don't know if what you're seeing, if the headline's true or false, or whatever, we're all going to find the best sense of support and solace and comfort and camaraderie in community. So here's what we do. Here's what we do. And don't for a second believe that these things don't matter. These are the type of things that compounded make monumental societal shifts. Here's a list of things, okay? Um, Say hi to your neighbor, listen to the birds. Do not judge me until you try these things. Okay, please, it's a request. Donate to a cause, even if it's $5. Even if you're at the store and it says, "Do you want to round up?" Even if it's 32 cents. Write a thank you note. That is such a great act of practicing gratitude. Support local small businesses. Pick up litter. I can tell you, and I'm very OCD. I don't mean that in a cute way. Like I like contamination OCD is like a very big thing for me. But put your gloves on. It's not for everybody, but my kids and I went out and we did some cleanup in Fort Worth, and it just feels so good. Like this is my community, and I did a small part to make it look better, to make it to be kinder to this area, to the earth, to my surroundings. Like walk around your neighborhood with a trash bag, pick up some trash. Um, Hold the door open for someone. Go outside. Literally go outside. It's one of the most regulating things that we can do. Go outside. Literally smell a flower. Again, do not judge me until you do it. Okay? Close your eyes and smell the freaking flower. Slow down. Slow down. Call or text a friend. Thank your bus driver. Thank your Lyft driver. Wave to a kid. Don't be creepy. Look at the moon. Oh my gosh, you guys. Look at the moon and like do those deep breaths. Like, look at the moon. Who are we worrying about these things? Like, look at the moon. And we get to live here. Like, there's enough for everyone. We're not fighting each other. This isn't us versus them. It's not blue versus red. It's not America versus the rest of the world. Like, this is all of us together. This is everyone. Take those deep breaths. Get a library card. Stock your community fridge or pantry. Um, you're not powerless. Like none of us are powerless. We just, I think, have been beaten down because of the state of the world lately. It feels like headline after headline after headline is beating us down. So here's my 2 cents. Unsubscribe from emails that are stressful. Be selective about what you take in. Spend less time on your phone. I am just convinced that the longer I'm on my phone, the worse it is for my mental health. And I'm a YouTuber, y'all. Like, I'm on my phone a lot, and my job security is people being on their phones a lot, and it's not worth it. Spend less time on your phone and slow down. Here's what happens when you slow down. Just like when we did those breaths, when you slow down, you start to feel things. And that can be really scary because you have to actually feel. Let's go there, y'all. Let's go there. You have to actually feel the reality of what it is to live in a world where you're worried about being able to use your voice. And we have to actually feel the effects of what it's like for me every morning to drop my kids off at school. I don't want to slow down and think about that because it's terrifying. But when we slow down and we feel it, It's real. And feeling it creates action. I don't think that the answer to this crisis that we're in right now, with so much divide, the answer is not to talk more, y'all. The answer is not to convince people of your viewpoint. The answer is not to bring people over on your side. I don't know if you've learned this yet, but people do not change because you want them to. People change when they're ready. And it's usually not because you concocted the perfect argument. The answer is not more talking. I think the answer is serving each other in small ways, putting aside our differences. I think the fear underneath it all for everyone is the fear of disconnect, the fear of not being accepted for who we really are, fear of being ostracized. Um, there's enough for everybody. How can you slow down? Seriously, what's something you can do to slow down the pace of your day? It's one of those paradoxical things for me where when I realize actually the more I slow down and the gentler I am on myself and in my life, it actually feels like the more, not really the more I get done, because I don't like to frame things as like being productive isn't the ultimate goal, but the more I slow down, the more connected I feel to myself, the more healthy I feel, the more whole I feel. Um, so, how can you slow down? That's kind of scary because like I said, when you slow down, it means you have to feel stuff. Oh, Ryan, guys, thank you, Orion. Okay, y'all, there's no villains in this story, okay? The only way we make it through is all of us together. But you can spend more time with the people that you like the most, okay? That's what I'm doing. That's why I love y'all so much. Okay. I am blown away. Thank you for the support. Thank you, Orion. Thank you, everybody, for being here. Be kind to yourself. Before your head hits the pillow tonight, do one small, kind thing for someone. I don't want your demand avoidance to kick in, okay? It's an option. I'm not demanding that you do it. Okay, I'm sending so much love to everyone. Thank you for being here, and I will see you in the next video.